Hey there, wonderful, fabulous you. Now, today we're going to talk about, guess what? Fake news. Yep, that's right, I said it, fake news. Now, before you start thinking, oh, maybe I turned to the wrong YouTube channel, I'm not talking about the fake news we learn about on TV. I'm going to be talking about the fake news we can tend to believe about ourselves. And today I'm going to give you 4 fake news stories you should never, ever, ever believe. So stay tuned. Hey there, now a lot has been said about fake news in politics, but the type of fake news we're going to talk about today is even more deadly and more destructive because it's the fake news that we can tend to believe about ourselves. Now, of course, fake news is composed of stories that are actually false, but they are presented as real. But you know what? I love this quote by Henry Ford. He made this statement. He said, if you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. So it's not necessarily a matter of, will something great happen for us? Will I be able to do this great thing? Will I be able to walk in my dreams? But it's more so a matter of, do I believe that this great thing can happen for me? Do I believe that I will walk in my dreams? So today I'm going to give you 4 fake news stories that you should never, ever, ever believe about yourselves. And anytime you hear these statements that I'm about to share with you, you should recognize it and label it as fake news, untrue, it's a lie, I'm not listening to it, and I'm not going to let it order my life. So the first fake news story that you should never believe is this, that you cannot recover from your past, you're just too messed up. And you know, the enemy just loves for us to feel like our past, our situation is that special case that is beyond help, beyond recovery, that there's nothing that can be done to help us. And you know what? We end up having this thinking that, you know, I've made one too many mistakes. I've been abused one too many times. I've had one too many setbacks. And because of that, I just can't see how I can move forward. But I love the story and the actual account that is told in John chapter 11, where Jesus is speaking to Martha. Now, Martha and Mary, they were sisters to a man named Lazarus, and Lazarus had become ill. So they sent word to Jesus, who was in another city, another town, to come so that Jesus could see about their brother. But by the time that Jesus got there, Lazarus had died. And so Martha says to Jesus, she said, Lord, if you had been here, he would not have died. Her thinking was, you know what, if you were here, you know, a few days ago before he died, maybe you could have done something. But the way the situation has gone right now, there's no hope. There's nothing else that can be done. My brother's dead. Situation is dead. The marriage is dead. The career is dead. The dream is dead. There's nothing else that can be done. But what Jesus says to her in John 11:25 is, I am the resurrection and the life. Jesus says, you know what? There's no situation that's too far gone as long as I'm present in it. When I get on the scene, I bring life. So even if something has died, I have resurrection power that can cause that dead thing to come back to life, to be restored, to be recovered. So now the second fake news story that you should never believe is that you don't have any gifts or talents that could benefit someone. Now, as a busy mom with a husband and 4 kids, I know how it is to be consumed with the day-to-day, and sometimes you just want to get through the day. You just want to get through all the items on your to-do list. And I can remember the time when I was just so busy that I was reading a book, and the book asked for me to write down the things that I was passionate about and the things that I was good at. And I just sat there just depressed because I couldn't think of anything that I was good at. I think I thought of maybe one thing that I thought I was good at, and I was just sitting there wanting to really just burst into tears because I couldn't think of anything. And it didn't mean that I wasn't good at anything. It didn't mean that I wasn't passionate about anything, but it meant that I was just so busy with the day-to-day of life that I hadn't taken time in a long time to really sit and think. And so what I want to encourage you with today is, if you're feeling like that, if that fake news story is trying to replay over and over in your brain, in your thinking, it may be time for you to just set some time aside every day to just spend a few minutes in the presence of God, a few minutes reading his word, a few minutes with God, and sitting and thinking and allowing him to speak to you about what he placed you on this earth to do. See, I like to sit with my journal and just write down the things that the Lord is sharing with me, the things that I'm thinking as I'm spending time with him. And I love what John Maxwell said in his book, Intentional Living. He says to help identify those areas of giftings and callings in your life, you have to ask yourself, what makes you sad? What makes you angry? And then you have to ask yourself, what makes you sing? And then you have to ask yourself, what are your dreams? What do you dream about? And when you take time every day to just sit in God's presence and allow him, as you're thinking about these things, to speak to your heart, I guarantee you, you will recognize and identify the different things, different callings and giftings that you're placed on this world to do. And you know what? The Word of God tells us in Romans 11:29 that the gifts and call can never be withdrawn. Or I should say it like this: the gifts and call of God can never be withdrawn, which means he's given us things and he will never take them away, and they're there. And I'm here to tell you they are there to be a blessing to others. The third fake news story that we should never ever believe is that we don't need anybody. We can do life all on our own. Now, the enemy loves this one because what he tries to do is capitalize on maybe a negative experience where maybe someone let us down or someone wasn't there for us like they should have been or said they would have been. And because of it, we end up getting to this thinking where we feel like, you know what, I'm just going to do life on my own. But I want you to understand that is 100% fake news. You might be one relationship away from your next level. And there may be someone out there who needs what you have to take them to their breakthrough. Always remember that without vulnerability, there can be no transparency. And without transparency, there can be no connection. And if there's no connection, then we stay the same. So now the last fake news story that you should never believe goes like this: your life will never change. Your dreams will never come true. Now, I know I've heard that one before. And you know what? I call that the give up lie, because when we get to that place where we feel like nothing we can do will ever change our situation, no amount of help, no amount of hope, no amount of positivity will ever change things, we are really one step away from quitting and giving up. But if you are in that place today, if that fake news story is kind of playing around in your thinking, Galatians 6:9 tells us at just the right time, we will reap a harvest of blessing if we don't give up. You know, the author James Allen wrote, "You cannot travel within and stand still without." Meaning, if we take the time to grow on the inside, if we take the time to change how we see things and how we think about our lives on the inside, it's only a matter of time before we'll see change on our outside. If this has added value today, I want you to please like, share, and comment, and I want you to ring that bell so that you can get notifications every time I upload a video, so you can stay encouraged to be the wonderful, fabulous you that God created you to be. We'll see you next week. Be blessed.